episode, we'll be learning about alignment from the founder of INLIGN. Today's guest is described as a wonderful blend of maths and psychology, uniting IQ and EQ. She's an executive alignment coach, advisor, and strategist. Welcome to the show, Rachel. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me here, Toby. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm doing really well. I'm so excited to talk with you about this.
So I just want to also start off or kick off with, you telling us about your life journey so far. Like, what inspired you to study mathematics, psychology, and also now go down this line of becoming an alignment coach?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. So I did not wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna do alignment with very large enterprise organizations. That'll work. That's a not exactly a thing that anyone focuses on, but I can turn that into an industry that actually has interest in it. And that didn't happen like that, right? No one wakes up one day thinking about something new, like blink of an eye. You have to really flesh it out. So what happened with me is I originally, I mean, 36 now, but when I first started college, I was interested in mathematics. And so I wanted to become a math professor. I was toying with engineering, I was looking into law. I decided to double major with finance just for the heck of it because everyone in my dorm was doing that. And
Okay.
then I realized after graduation that I didn't know what I wanted. Nothing had actually spoken to my soul. And so I thought, well, I better decide to take a walk and figure out what that is. And so I went into business. And through that, I realized very quickly that if I was going to do the things that I wanted to do, help people make things better at companies, my words back then, not the words of innovation or these other things, that I was going to have to use power and influence, obviously, to get things done. Well, problem with that, I was 22. What power or influence do you have as a 22-year-old in a publicly traded company? Basically none.
No power. True.
So, what I started to realize very quickly is in order to get things done that I know would help people, I really had to simply give them what they wanted. But it wasn't just enough to give one person what they wanted. I had to give all the people all of what they wanted and figure out a way to do it. So you could see where I'm kind of foreshadowing the idea of alignment, right? Through all of
Yeah.
this, reconciling people's needs together, helping them see eye to eye, etc. But that was truly the only way you could move forward to create change in an organization without power, influence, or buy in is to generate that buy in organically by simply hearing and seeing people for what they're saying, acknowledging them, and then helping them do the very thing that they want so you become their champion.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
so that's what I ended up doing for years. And then
Yes. Yes.
fast forward, we'll call it what, somewhere between 12 and 15 years later, I realized that I would have even more impact with this kind of work if I was doing it outside of the company itself. If I was an outside source of potency coming into a company, that I would be able to have the ear of the C suite instead of having to work up the chain in some way. Because even if you're a VP, a lot of times, if an idea comes from only one part of the organization, it can be seen as a political move with your coworkers potentially, and you might not have the um, all the buy-in or what you would need to do to create that change. And so that's how I started INLIGN, is realizing, wow, this isn't done well a lot of places, and we could actually do this and really help. And we actually start off in technology, working on digital transformation. And one of my clients had said to me, "Wow, don't take this the wrong way, but we're happy to pay for the tech. Don't it's great, but what you're really giving us, what we're truly happy to pay for, is the alignment. We can't
Oh.
get that elsewhere. We can't buy that."
Yeah.
And I don't know how you did it. You Our people are happier. Our board is happier. People are more engaged. We unlocked revenue in the process. This alignment, this can't be purchased elsewhere. This is the gift. And I just had this huge aha moment around that time. And I thought, wow, well, what if we create the entire business to be around alignment itself? Not the technology, not the processes, not the operations, not the reorgs, not the change management, but simply creating alignment. And so that's how Inline was born, and how we've gone ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. So Inline was born in 2019 from this, journey of yours.
Yeah.
Like you, wow, that's so beautiful. I love what you talked about, earlier about power and influence and ourselves, like wanting to gain that power and influence. Like just before we learn more about Inline, can you tell us how we could align power, influence, and ourselves? Like you looking at yourself at the age of 22, wanting to have that voice in your company and make make a name for yourself at that point. How would you look back and you know advise yourself back then to align all your purpose, your dreams, your vision, power, influence with yourself too?
Mm. Well, one of the things I would have shared with myself is you were on the right track. It wasn't power and influence you were seeking. It was
Mm,
helping people. What is the most effective and efficient way of helping people see and hear them, give them what they want, take it to the next level by helping all of them if you can.
yeah,
Sometimes it's not possible to make every single stakeholder, happy or satisfied, but can you do that? Because in that servant leadership style is where you can grow power and influence without that actually being the main goal. That becomes a side effect of doing this.
yeah. I love that answer. Yeah, the main thing is to help other people to create an impact. Then the power and influence comes in secondary. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
It
awesome.
was never about me.
And
First interviewed one day one. It
mm,
was always, well, why are you here? I want to really help. I want to make things better. And I have a genuine
yes,
love and
and
curiosity of systems and technology, and I'll help you do that. But it's in the effort and the goal of
yeah.
making things better.
That's true. And that's what you do with inline, right? You have this inline approach and you have your company also. Can you tell us more about the company inline and also the inline approach?
Absolutely. So, our basic principle at Inline is really a belief people and organizations deserve to thrive. That's what we
Mm,
inherently believe here. And so, how does this connect to alignment? You can't thrive if you're out of alignment. If your priorities, actions, and intentions don't connect, how could you ever succeed? Could you, in any fields or in your personal life? You couldn't. And so we realized that despite this idea of people wanting to thrive and companies wanting to thrive, the how became the business, which is
mm,
helping leaders, teams, and organizations create greater alignment to maximize business performance, better connect, and thrive. And we do
mm,
this through helping them make sure that their actions accurately reflect their priorities and their intentions. And that is what we do day in, day out, which it sounds simple, but it's not simplistic. And that's the point. It shouldn't take rocket scientists, as awesome as they are, to only do
yeah.
this. It should be accessible, doable,
Mm,
and non-disruptive to a person.
yeah. Oh, that's good. I love the fact that I said it's simple because some listeners will be saying, "Oh, well, Rachel is a mathematician. She's a very intelligent person, and she's saying simple. What do you mean? I mean, who am I to yeah, simple?
What do you mean? You like math. Your version of simple might be very
Yeah,
different from my version of
different.
simple. Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the you'll appreciate this given your background, right? I
Mm,
potentially, I guess, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I love equations that are potent and impactful and also simple. So you can think E equals MC squared, F equals MA. Those have
mm,
so much potency and impact and significance behind them, but they're also stated quite
yeah.
elegantly, quite simply. And that was something that I've
Mm,
always held as a core tenet in mathematics and in my life is the more simple you can make something, usually the more universal it can be, the more
yes.
applicable it can be. And so that's what we
Yeah.
do at
That's
Inline. And that's what I do in general. Because if you're not doing that, then all of your work is essentially for naught because you're not able to meet people where they're at.
mm. So we have to be able to be as simple as possible so everyone is able to understand like what we're, what you're trying to do and the services that you offer also to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if it can't work for the
Yeah.
person, how is it going to work for the organization? Because again, with mathematics, how do you define a set? You define it by its components. Well, an organization as a
Yes.
set is then therefore defined by its people. So you're either helping
Mhm.
each person empower themselves individually and feel better as a group that also maximizes business performance because you're maximizing their productivity, or you
Yes.
can't make that change on a global or a big level, an aggregate level at an organization.
Yes. So, Rachel, I would love us to go to like the foundation of everything all, to the square root of it all. Like, if you were to define alignment, like to my sister, for example, how would you know, define it? So,
Act beautifully. So beautiful question. Alignment is when actions accurately reflect your priorities and your intentions.
mm,
And by priorities and
okay.
intentions, I mean what you consider to be most valuable, highly significant, impactful things, right? That's priorities.
Mhm,
Ideally, they're
mhm,
significantly impactful. And then intentions, a desired place that you want to navigate towards or become or be or realize, something you deeply
yeah.
want to do. And so then
Mm,
your priorities are a subset of that, and your actions
mhm,
then are driven off of your priorities. So it goes intentions at the top, priorities in the middle,
mm.
actions at the bottom. And when those
Actions at
things
the
all
bottom.
connect, when actions, priorities,
Yeah.
and intentions connect, you have alignment.
I'm now curious to know, like, how can I construct my intentions, my priorities, and my actions in order to live it, to live an aligned life, an aligned life.
Oh, I love that. So, how can you construct your priorities, intentions, and actions to live an aligned life? The first question I would ask is, what is your intention?
My intention is to help people, for example, if you ask me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if your intention is to help people, then what it becomes your priority from that? Because there are many ways to help. And so, then it's what creates the most significant impact with the least amount of resistance. How do you do that in a way that feels good to you and in your life and also does what you want?
Hmm. Okay. So, how I do that? I mean, my priority will be then. I'm not sure. Like, creating content that helps people. I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, think about it. Your priority is your podcast, right? That's what you just
Mm,
said.
yes.
So
Yes.
then all of your
Yeah.
actions would be driven towards driving towards that particular priority, the
Mm,
ones that stack with that, which then align back to helping people.
yeah.
And so any action
Ah.
that you're taking that doesn't align to
Mhm,
either, creating the robust and awesome podcast that you're doing or
mm.
help people would not be in alignment. And so it's a really good litmus test for where to spend your time.
Yeah. And how do we then, design our lives in order to have this intention, priorities, and actions, fixed and, in line basically, or aligned also to our purpose and everything that we are doing every day?
So, how do you align it in your daily life on a regular basis?
Y- Yes.
When What do you do when you wake up? What is like your you walk, you get out of bed, right? What's kind of the first couple of things that you do?
Oh, okay. I'm always, first of all, very grateful for waking up. Then I run to the kitchen to get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first drink water, then get a cup of coffee, then come back, then have a little bit of quiet time, meditation, prayers, and work out afterwards. Then afterwards, I'm ready to take a shower and get ready for the day.
Awesome. So somewhere in there between the gratitude and the shower, what if you were to ask yourself how your day aligns with your intention and your priorities?
Hmm,
Because that way
yeah,
it's
that's
always reaching those action steps that you want to take, which creates
yeah.
accountability.
Hmm. I love that word you just mentioned, accountability. Like we have to be accountable to ourselves. Uh, yeah. And how does that play a role into alignment also? Like, how can I be accountable to my journey of alignment? Do you have any experience with that, or
Absolutely.
how we could do
To
it?
us, alignment and accountability are actually twin flames. They're, if you think of DNA, they're the strands that create the double helix. You can't have one
Mm.
without the other. It wouldn't make any sense. If you just have accountability, but you're not going towards something, what are you holding yourself accountable for?
Not.
Not like that doesn't no one would do that. More often what we
No.
see is we'll see people have maybe some like glancing blows at alignment, but then they don't hold
Mm,
themselves accountable. And so that's the idea of
yeah.
bringing it into your life as a practice is, well, if my actions, priorities, and intentions have to
Mm,
connect for me to be in alignment, what happens when they don't? Whose responsibility is it to change that, to fix it?
mm,
It's mine.
yeah.
And so
It's
then
mine.
it's
Yes.
a really great tool of creating that self awareness of,
Mhm,
oh, I need to do this. I get to do this. It's my choice. I can hold myself to this because it's something I deeply want. It's not being forced on me. It's my intention. It's my priorities. It's my actions. I get to choose all of it.
mhm. Yeah, I like that. I get to do this. I was reading a book from someone who wrote like made a compilation about um mentors that he had from his podcast also, and he had a guest on his show who talked about saying that I get to do this. I get to take the trash out. I get to wake up every morning to live a purposeful life. I get to, changing it from I must do this or I should do this to I get to do this, like seeing it as an opportunity, as a chance. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I love that you put a fine point on that because that's something that we inherently, baked into the definition of alignment is this idea of
Mm,
choice. Because if the definition is alignment is when actions accurately reflect priorities and intentions, usually the first thing
yeah.
that may come to mind is, well, what's my intention? And implied
Mm,
in that is, I get to choose it. We're not asking about mission, goals, objectives, or even purpose here. That's such a those are loaded words and a lot of times they don't come from us, right? But our
true.
intention that is directly related to our own self,
Mm,
our own consciousness,
yeah.
our own being. That's something we get to
Yes.
choose. So then
Mm,
accountability feels like it's just us deciding to do things every day for ourselves because we
mhm.
have that intention, and in that is an opportunity, and to go back to what you said, when you wake up every morning, gratitude. I get to do
Yeah.
this. I'm alive. I'm here right now and I get to choose what I want.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I mean, for example, today before this recording, I was like, yeah, I woke up in the morning, I was like, I'll get to speak with Rachel because I was exchanging emails with Vera yesterday, the day before. I was like, yeah, today I get to speak with Rachel after work. And when I get back from work, I have to get prepared for my conversation with Rachel. I get to speak with Rachel, and that way the whole day becomes very very fascinating because I'm looking forward to something to a conversation right now.
The things that light you up,
That's
because why would your intention ever be something that doesn't light you up, right? That wouldn't make any sense.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. But for someone out there who's asking, yeah, I have these great intentions and I think I can set my priorities, but I don't know how to take the actions.
Mm,
Is there a way to align ourselves to our actions or to know what to do in order to ensure our intentions come out to reality?
as a that's a great question. And one of the things that we teach people and engage with people and helping them realize is you don't have to have the 24-point plan with the justification of each step written out and an entire roadmap,
Mm,
despite what many people think success looks like. It's iteration. Iteration is the mother of perfection, it's the mother of excellence. And so, what it requires from action is, given all of your resources and all of your ability and all of your capability and all of your connections, given your world, given your time, given your money, given your access, given the people that you know, like everything, given everything inside of you and around you, what is one next step that you can take
mm,
that would create the next step forward, that would open something up, that would actually move the
oh,
needle forward towards your priority getting accomplished? You don't have to hit the
yeah.
ball out of the park to do it. You just have to hit it a couple feet or pick it up from the
Mm,
ground and throw it with your hand. Like either way is
mm,
fine. I was
yeah.
golfing. I was using Golf Simulator with a client after a an executive alignment retreat, and we were terrible at golf, to be quite honest. This was like the worst thing I've ever seen. I myself don't golf, so I was definitely part of the team being dragging everyone else down. We were all laughing about it over drinks and stuff after the the main part of the retreat. And I kept encouraging people, the moment the ball went in the right direction, that was a win. Now, of course, this was very self serving because if it went in the right direction for myself, I got to cheer for myself and it didn't matter where it went, even
Yeah.
if it went in the sand trap. Didn't matter. It just went forward. And
Yes.
that is what counts. It doesn't matter if the
Mm.
action ends up not helping you, or if it actually is then harder for you to do the next step after that, or if it actually goes 50 feet or 20 feet or 2,000 feet. All that matters
Yeah.
is you're iterating. You are moving
Mm.
forwards and you don't have to be perfect at it.
Hi, friend. Are you enjoying this episode? We would love to hear from you. Kindly send us a feedback. Are you following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, maybe on YouTube and other podcast platforms? Are you following us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook? We would love to connect with you on all platforms. Links and further details are available in the show notes of this episode. Thank you. I totally agree with that answer because sometimes we have this intention and we've set the priorities and immediately want to see everything, in reality, we want to have everything done, big, huge.
Why
Like, yeah, that's true. But you, like what you just said now, I understood that you have to take those baby steps, those small steps. Failure could come on the way, but you take the lessons learned from them and move forward and just keep on moving. Iterations, basically.
And then you can
Yeah.
ask the question over time, well, I have many steps to choose from. So which should I take? Two things to
Mm.
look at. What's the path of least resistance and most impact? Do that. Like if that's available to you, if you're really clear on that, do that. If you're still not clear,
Mm.
ask yourself inside. The same place that your name comes from and 2 + 2 = 4 comes from, the truths that you hold dear. Ask yourself that. And it could be in the form of a binary. You can say, I will do this thing. I will not do this thing. And then see, literally see which one feels the same way it feels when you say, my name is Rachel or my name is Toby. Like your name, when you say it out loud, it feels something. And when you say someone else's name, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel very good. For the engineers out
Yeah.
there, it might be easier to go 2 + 2 = 4 or 2 + 2 = 7,000. One of those is going to feel better to you when you say it. You can
Yes.
use that as a baseline, but accessing that
Mm.
discernment within you is the same discernment that's going to help you be able to achieve really anything that you continually make progress on.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and that's is inspiring my next question right now that is popping up. You talk about looking inwards, like to ask yourself those some questions. What happens when we are not aligned with ourselves inward, as in with our personal self? What should we do in order to be aligned with our spirit, with our intuition, with our soul, with our mind?
I love that. Yeah, that's when there's conflict inside, right? When part of you wants this really
Mm,
awesome thing, and then there's this other part that kind of has like a flamethrower and is like, just test me.
yes,
I'm not going to go there with you.
exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, what I would say is at an inherent and deep level, we are not the things that we're afraid of ever.
Mm,
At a deep
yeah.
level, we're not a mindset of scarcity or lack
Mm,
or survival. Those are things that we have structured around us that have helped kept us safe for a long time, potentially.
mm,
And so when we
mm,
walk outside of the boxes that we had created for ourselves to keep us safe, some part of us might be a young part, might be a teenage part, some part of us might not have gotten the memo that things are different now and that you can dream bigger, you can choose bigger, that exists.
yeah.
And so to be able
Oh.
to sit with it, acknowledge it,
Mhm,
send it love. And I really mean love, because if we're not the fear and we're not the doubt and we're not the anger, the resentment. Like you would never, a person would never define themselves by those things at an inherent and core level. They might have them, they might experience them, but at an inherent and core level, they would never feel like they are those things, that they embody them 24/7, because that doesn't happen. I've never met any person who's only existed in a state of anger or fear only. Like we move in and out of those things. So if we're not any of that, what are we? And at some deep level, it's a place of joy and passion and interest and curiosity and light. So tapping into that as you, and then being able to send that part that has not gotten the memo, oh, things are different. I don't have to operate this way anymore. No, don't send them the memo, send them love.
Mhm.
Go get
Yes,
them.
I love that. Like, yes, the part of ourselves that are not in line or aligned with our purpose and vision, we are supposed to send them love and tell them, hey, young Toby or Toby of 2018 that is still within, please, we've moved on.
Yeah, I have a very
Yeah.
sassy 5-year-old who up until recently was just, she wasn't negative. She'd gotten out of that a long
Mhm.
time ago, but was like, really? You're doing this? Like, people pay for this. You help them? You can do that now? Right? The sassy
Yeah.
5-year-old is the same one who I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you something else to focus on. I got the business stuff covered. I'm good. We've done this for many years. You get hairstyle and socks.
Oh, okay.
That's what you can focus on. Go to town with it. That is 100% within your realm. So now I own a lot of really fun socks as a result. So I'm not like
Yeah.
smacking her down, saying she sucks. I'm not getting angry
Mm.
with her. I'm sending her love and I'm giving her some form of control that a 5-year-old would feel good about.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate with that because I also have a shy Toby within me. Like it doesn't like to speak with people. And whenever I'm having conversations like this or having, yeah, having to do anything with the podcast or with people outside, I just tell him, oh, I love you so much, but this is not the time and place. When we get home, yes, you can shine. We'll be shy, we'll be gentle and quiet. But right now, send the love and light, basically. Just
Yes, exactly. And then that
yeah.
shy one just gets to
Yeah.
be the fly in the wall and enjoy the conversation as it's happening.
Exactly. Exactly. That's good. Yeah, that's very good. But I would love to like go back to your company in line. Like you help professional people to be aligned with their actions and with their intentions also. Like do you also help people to be aligned personally and also professionally? And what are the strategies that you maybe help people with to do this?
So we take everything back to a person's intention. That's where everything starts
Mm,
from. So I would never tell someone, your intention should be X. Like that's
mm,
totally not okay. It's about their
yeah.
intention. They're an expert on their life, what they want.
Yeah.
And so then the whole thing is driven from there. When we work with organizations and teams and leaders, it's the lens, it looks different, specifically because we're working around a professional setting. But people are still people. People bring their stuff to work. People don't automatically become amazing communicators and mediators just because they walk
Mm,
into the office, right? And so
yeah.
wherever they are, we're simply showing up and handling them as humans because we're humans. We're all humans. And so that's where
True.
we meet people where they at and where they're at and help them get to where they want to go, which is a place of alignment, whether that's within their team or department or for them as a leader, or really with people as personal individuals who might be seeking something and to thrive in a specific area of their life and wanting to
Mm,
show up more as themselves in a safe environment, right? And be
yes.
able to really shine. Well, what's blocking it? If your intention is X, maybe it's a, I don't know what my intention is. So let's figure that out. Or if you do,
Mm,
what are the priorities that you actually care about here? If there are no limits
mm,
and nothing that could ever minimize you is ever true, what would you do? What do you want?
mm.
How do you want to get there?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are important questions to ask. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then imagine what that would be like, right? Like I
Yes.
personally, one of the things that I talk with people about is something I've realized for myself. Uh, if choice is everything, we get to choose everything. We could have a whole conversation on that, you and I. And the really the superpower that is choice. But if we get to choose
Mm,
everything, why would I ever be choosing a mindset or belief or thought, actively and intentionally choosing something that limits
mm.
me or constricts me in any way?
Yeah, maybe because of fear.
Right. So
Yeah.
those exist. But if I can choose to decide to replace beliefs, one versus another, that's another thing that we get into, because the idea is, if you want to execute on your intention, if you want to create priorities and actions that are actually lighting you up, that are worthy of your intention,
Yeah.
then it's a question of what beliefs or thoughts or mindsets or roadblocks in are getting in the way, that no longer serve you, that they served you at some point, but they don't any longer. And how can we remove them on your terms? And so that's what a
Mm,
flavor might look like. But it's
yeah.
always about
Oh,
results,
okay.
whether they're business results, maximizing performance, or whether it's personal results in some way.
Yeah, oh, that's good. And you've helped someone like to align his personal life, his professional life, or even both of them together, like his personal professional life together. They're aligned now.
Yes.
And from my own experience and personal belief, I believe that it's one thing to get a result, but in this journey of alignment, it's something that's continuous, and that involves consistency. How do we stay aligned every day, every time?
Yes, I love that. So let's say you're waking up every day and thinking about your intention, which is something I would encourage you, myself, and all the listeners to think about every day, because
Mm, mm.
it's your day. You're going to live it anyways. Might as well live it more
Yeah,
intentionally. I mean, it's going to
yeah.
happen regardless. You're choosing, no matter what you choose, you're choosing. So we are
Mm,
conscious about our intention. That's the first step every day. And the second is, some people really like certain structure. So if you say every week or every month or quarterly, what if you walk through with yourself? So my intention was this, my priority was this. These were might get into the granular of the actions. It might just stay at the intention and priority level. Have I moved forward towards that? Has the ball been moving forwards in the way that I like, in the way that, if I'm honest with myself, I know I could do? If I got
mm.
if I became aligned and moved out of my own way, because that 5-year-old is no longer in charge of running my life, they're in charge of socks, or they get to go home and enjoy being shy at home. Like, if we got in this
Yeah.
situation together where I'm really moving forward, let me be honest with myself, have I done it? Right? Because alignment, from a mathematical perspective, there are shades of gray, but for just the purposes of the example, I like being binary about it. It's either aligned or it's not aligned. If it's not
Mm,
fully aligned, it's not aligned, right?
mhm. That's
So
true.
if we go with that, then it's really easy to ask yourself on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, or on a quarterly basis, or on a yearly basis, whatever feels good to you. Maybe none of those feel good because you're just doing this continuously. It's every person's
Mm,
different. But on some level, on some frequency, with regularity, asking, am I moving the ball forward on this? Like, I
mm,
know my own capability. I really do, right? Has it
yes.
moved forward? Because if it hasn't,
Mm,
then it's nice, lovely self-awareness and reflection time to go back and say, okay, if I'm being honest with myself, what were my choices? What could I have chosen?
mm.
Right? And then
Yeah.
take that
Yes.
hindsight, compassion, did the best I could. Okay, now I know differently. I know better. I'm going to make better choices now.
Yeah. So we have to like sit down with ourselves, do that honest review, and find out ways to move forward. Strategies, like you're a strategist also. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, make our
And that's
plans.
why I like the
Mhm.
definition, because it really does hold us accountable in a way that doesn't feel icky or wrong, or like we have some kind of overlord holding. Like, the word accountable has somewhat of a stigma, I would say, in the English language. And
Yeah.
when we kind of move past that and we just go to the intention of it, the intention is to
Mhm.
thrive. So us showing up
True.
to do actions that help us thrive is the intention of holding ourselves accountable. It's very pure. It's filled with love.
Yes. Yes. That's true. I totally agree with that. And earlier you were talking about if something is not aligned, then it is misaligned. Like it's not aligned.
Mhm.
Like can you share some signs that we have to look out for to know that, oh, Toby, is like you are going off the track, you are getting misaligned. What should I look out for?
Yeah. So what let me ask you this because there's so many signs. So what comes to
Mm,
your mind the idea of you feeling out of alignment with your own intentions and priorities with your own actions? What comes to
mm.
mind? Like what would come up for you do you think in your life?
Yeah, I'll not be satisfied basically, like sadness or unhappiness. Yeah.
Yeah, so some emotions that might be not joy.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
I'll feel empty basically.
Yeah, emptiness, restlessness,
Yeah.
frustration, feeling like that is actually
Mm,
coming out to those around you because it's like almost dumping frustration onto people unintentionally, or
true.
having somewhat of a negative attitude towards things now because there's something deeper going on. Um,
Mm,
some some fear of like that you missed out on something or a regret, right?
mm.
Like there's a
Yes.
quiet
Yes.
voice inside of you that wants something and you keep pushing it away.
Mm, true.
Yeah, those are some of the
Yeah.
signs. Others can be literally taking actions that are the complete opposite of what you actually want, right? So someone who wants to get into shape and is saying, "Tomorrow I'm going to go on a diet," and tomorrow never
Mm.
comes because there is something there, whether that's the intention or the way they're going about it, that is not fully aligned with themselves. And so
Mm,
when we don't take action, that almost that silence, that absence of action can can be allowed as a foghorn in this kind of situation
mm.
to show you
Yeah.
what's out of alignment, that something is there that you're doing or thinking or moving towards, but it's not in a way that's authentic to you. And there's some confusion
Yeah.
around it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So we have to look inward and find out the answer to that.
Yeah.
To
And
know.
and sometimes what I'm
Yeah.
saying is an outward sign might be you're not taking the actions that you know you want to take, that some part of you wants to
Mm,
take, and you're just not doing it. That
yes.
100% is a sign of misalignment.
Misalignment. Yeah. What about if there's something that's out of my control? Like if I do the review honestly and I find out that I'm feeling this misalignment because of something that is not in my control, something that I don't know how to take hold of or take action of.
Oh, it's a great question. So let's break down the idea of what's out of your control. I've noticed in my life that I'll just kind of go personal because I think it might help here.
Yeah.
So, starting company, right? A lot of things outside
Yeah.
of your control. And the
Yes.
way that I have related, I mean, most entrepreneurs feel like, especially in the beginning, when they very first start, that it's almost like this roller coaster. Some days
Mm,
there's really positive signs and you're feeling really good. And other days, there are negative signs or that you interpret as negative and you are feeling horrible about everything in the future. And it's this roller coaster of a journey until you reach a place of stability and growth. Well,
mm,
well before I reached a place of stability and growth, I realized, wow, I feel miserable. Like this
mm.
roller coaster, I don't want it. That's not
Yeah.
how I want to live my life. Like that's not what I want. And so
Yeah.
I realized there's a lot that's out of my control. In fact, so much that the only word I can encompass it by is uncertainty,
Mm,
right? Just total
yes.
uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how
Yeah.
do you deal with that? There's so much out of your control. And the only way you can deal with that better in that situation, as an example, is through choice. Clearly, you're not going to be able to invoke all knowing power to create the exact layout of how you think things should be in the future. So, I'm not talking about choice with your actions. I'm talking about choice with how you think about things, how you relate to
Mm,
concepts like
yeah.
uncertainty, like safety, like love, like intimacy, like money, like religion, how you relate to things so that you can internalize your needs for all of that stuff instead of looking for validation and externalizing that stuff. Many times people will not leave a job for fear that the devil that you know is better than the devil you don't know, right? And it keeps them
Mm,
trapped thinking I'm stuck. I am 100% stuck in this job. Well, is that
yeah.
really true? I mean, I imagine that this isn't an absolute, that there might actually be a situation, especially, we don't have to go into it, but, in some parts of the world where people are undocumented and they literally it would be like cutting off their left arm if they had to leave a certain situation. It would put their whole family at risk. So
Mm.
when your life includes fundamental choice, then the idea is, okay, well, I have fundamental choice. Am I actually stuck or am I just terrified?
Yeah.
And how do I
Yes. We have
relate?
to like think about that.
Exactly. And how do I relate to it? Can I change how I relate to this job? Can I change how I'm relating to myself? Can I change how I'm relating to my worthiness or my validation? Do I really need another positive performance review before I decide to leave? Why?
Yeah. Yes. So we have to like really, take that time to think about it. And I love the fact that you made mention of choice again right now, because of recent I've been learning about choosing not to be a victim of a situation that is out of my control, like choosing to stand above it and not say, oh yeah, I'm defeated because of this situation that is out of my control. I had no, it's not my fault that I was given birth to in Nigeria or in a country that is not developed, or in this situation or circumstance. But choosing to rise above that and make the best use out of what I have.
Exactly. Exactly. And then not even letting any of that define you ever, because you're not your
Yes.
experiences. Like that's something that I
Mm.
believe, and people might believe very differently, but that's also a choice. I choose to believe that I'm not my experiences, meaning that I create space for myself to grow. The things that I've experienced or done or succeeded at or miserably failed at, that we could have really funny conversations about 15 years later. Um,
Yeah.
we aren't those things if you choose to believe that, right? It's 100% your choice. And if you give yourself that space, okay, well, now you have a lot more within your control because you've chosen, instead of the word control, it's almost choice, really. You've chosen to relate to things in a manner that lights you up and only lights you up. It doesn't
Yeah.
minimize you, it doesn't box you in.
That's true. Yes, I love that. Yeah, I'm going to take this clip and always play it in my head, always all the time when I feel discouraged or misaligned. Basically, I say, yeah, making that choice to be above the
Yeah.
situations.
And by the way, I want to hone in on a word you said that I used to kind of internalize myself. You were talking about the word of I think you said victim in the context of, a
Yeah.
situation. And I'm not saying that that is not true. Many people are in situations where choice is removed and that creates trauma, because that's what traumatic situations are. It's when our choice is removed and we're hurt in the process, sometimes very deeply and significantly. So I used to relate to myself like that. I was going through major health challenges for a better part of a decade in my 20s. Very, very difficult. And what I realized is I was not, I was placing myself, unbeknownst to me, I did the best I could, right? Unbeknownst to me, I was placing myself as a victim or a survivor or a warrior during those times, as a character in a chapter, instead of as the author of the entire book.
Ah, yeah,
And when you do that, you're invoking this
yeah.
energy of life
Mhm.
happens to me. Now, how much choice or control do you feel like we might have if we're thinking about life happens to us?
Not so many control. We don't have any control
Yeah,
actually.
it feels pretty bad. And so over time, I made a shift because I realized at one point, I realized, huh, well, you know, I've gotten this resiliency thing done pat. Like, I can be resilient. Is that all I want to be? I want to thrive.
Yeah.
I want more than this.
Mhm.
And so I did more work on myself, which actually helped heal me physically as well. And what I realized is, oh, I was playing a character in a role in the drama of Rachel for years without realizing it, starring my whole family. Not that it was like no one would ever say that about me. I mean, I was genuinely sick with really, really difficult things. And I'm not saying that people that are do this, but subconsciously, when you're in a situation that is so outside of your control, it is so easy to make the jump to identifying with the thing as who you are instead of being who you are,
Who you are.
right? So
Yes.
identifying as the victim of a circumstance instead of identifying as Toby.
Mm.
Toby's the author of
Yes.
his
You.
life. That crap
Yeah.
happened. Wasn't okay. Never
Mm-hmm.
will be. It's also not who you are.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing that. That's so wonderful, and thanks for opening up about what you experienced, in your 20s, like you being in that situation and still having that mindset that you're not just a role, a play, and a character or something, but you are the main author of your story.
Yes. Absolutely. And it,
That's
it
beautiful.
shifted everything. It went from this view of life
Mm,
happens to me. I mean, literally decades just played out over and over again. It was like life trying to wake me up to you're using the same story. We have so much more in store for you. Please, like
mm,
we're just going to keep doing this until you wake up. We're just going to keep shaking you.
yeah.
And so I kept getting sick
Mm,
over and over again. Um
wow.
and then when I started to do this work, I realized, "Oh, life happens for me. It doesn't happen to me, it happens for me."
Hmm.
And then the more
For
work
me,
that I did,
yes.
I got to a view now where life happens through me.
Oh, that's another level. That's a new level.
So there's steps
Wow.
to get there, but I can tell
Yeah.
you, I can report back from the dregs of real suffering and physical suffering that it change is
Mm,
100% possible um when and I don't mean like you can 100% live through stage 4 cancer. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I mean, your
mm.
mindset during every moment of your life is yours to choose, and it can 100% be better for you.
Yeah, I believe that too. And from what you just said right now, I believe we are supposed to have a mindset of positivity also, like being positive towards life, having this positive mindset towards every situation that we come across.
Yeah, I would say positivity, but can I be more nuanced about it?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So what I would say is the the reason I'm pausing here is that we have a problem in the US with
Mm.
toxic positivity, right? We have
Yeah.
like this idea that everything has to either be amazing or you are a buzzkill and you do not talk to me about your problems. That is so toxic because it
Yeah.
doesn't leave room for vulnerability, which is actually what creates connection. And so that would be a huge issue. If you can't show up as you and feeling however you're feeling, then you're not in a situation where it would be quite toxic for you to have to be like, everything's great. I was just in the ER yesterday and got another, blah, blah, blah done. But yeah, life is
Mm.
awesome. Like that just, right? That doesn't make any sense. So
No.
I don't think of it actually as positive or negative because I view emotions
Mm.
fundamentally different now. I look at emotions not as positive or negative, but as guideposts to helping me thrive. So if I'm sad about something, I let myself be sad. I have an entire playlist for grief that I made after my mom passed away. I
Yeah.
just made an entire it's like
Mm.
hours long and when my friends' moms, some of them started passed away in a couple years or dads, I was able to send them that playlist and they were over just overjoyed to have something
Mm.
that actually helped them feel what they were feeling instead of having to quote
Yeah.
be comforted away from those negative emotions.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
using emotions as guideposts, we grieve only because we love so much. It's an expression of
True.
love. Being sad, be as sad as you want, but you don't have to stay there.
Mm.
Stay there. That's your choice. And so when I think of being positive, the way I think of it is I don't look at positive or negative. I look at it as what am I thinking or feeling in this moment? Is there something that's making me pissed off, feel icky, feel frustrated, feel like I'm going to close in on myself? If that's
Mm.
going on, then something inside of me, a thought, a belief, or a mindset, is inherently minimizing me. It's constricting
Mm.
me. Whatever that is not okay. So it's not that the sadness or the anger is awesome. I love it. Once I discovered it, I have a punching bag. It's amazing. Uh, favorite song, Last Resort by Papa Roach. I'm not even kidding. I will put that on blast. That is
Mm.
heavy. Great anger song. So it's not that these emotions are positive or negative. It's just guideposts and letting
Yeah.
them flow through you means you can get back to
Mm.
yourself and then uncover, is there something that I am thinking or feeling or believing that is inherently minimizing me or constricting me from letting my own light shine, from letting me, from letting Toby be Toby.
Yeah.
Because whatever that
Yes.
is, find it,
Mm.
replace it, control F.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, Rachel, that's amazing. That's amazing. You just took me from a level of, oh, suppress those feelings, appear to be okay, show up and, play the role, to really letting that emotion flow through you, feel it, process it, and let it go. Let it have its course. Yeah.
I'm so glad. That's actually one of the comments I receive most from men that I work with, because in we have this I don't call it any of the words that people commonly call it. I think of it as like suppression, a culture of
Mm,
suppression. So in our culture around the world, sometimes we suppress women, right? Other times we suppress emotions, and men feel that a lot, my husband included. And so when I work with even in businesses, one of the comments that we receive the most, even in corporate settings at the end of a retreat, is I didn't realize I could be compassionate and that that's a strength.
mm,
I didn't realize that I could be angry and that I'm also not a bad person, right?
yeah.
Like
Yes.
we
Yeah.
emotions are guideposts. Just flip the script. We can start believing that anytime we
Yes.
want. If that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've learned so much from that already. Like, I'm not just going to suppress my emotions or feelings, but let my emotions be guideposts for me
Yes.
to guide me forward.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. A flashlight. It's like, oh,
Yes.
somewhere in there, I'm going to feel it. And then I'm going to be wondering about what's getting me frustrated or feeling like I can't do it because something's minimizing
Yeah.
me. And that's not true.
True. Then I go to the root cause of that, work on it, and then I become a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you own a punching
Awesome.
bag?
No, not. I don't want one yet, but maybe I should get one.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I was waiting for that one.
Maybe I should get one with that music recommendation. You should send it to me through email, or maybe your playlist also. Every playlist for every situation and emotions. Then
I
I can put it on
100%
Spotify.
will do that, Toby. I have so many. Yeah, yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
please, please, please come through with that. Yeah, send them to me.
Yes, we're gonna
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. So as a closing remark, Rachel, like for someone out there who is struggling with aligning his or her intentions with priorities and actions, what advice would you give that person? I know we've talked about a lot already, but if there's something very, very important that you'd love to share with the person, what would that be?
Ooh, well, the thing that's coming to mind, I'm so glad you asked, is iteration is the mother of perfection, of excellence. So what does that mean here? Alignment is a practice. And like anything else, you might not be great at it when you first start. I know that when I first started to ride a bike, I fell over and was so terrified of all of the scrapes and cuts that I was getting that I knew I didn't ride for another 6 months before I picked it up again. You don't have to do that.
Mm,
You can
mm,
continuously practice it and be okay with the fact that you're not amazing at it. Because I'm sorry, but when did we learn this in school? Like, how would we have
mm.
gotten this memo? I mean, that's why we're talking right now, right? It's new. It's a new way of
Yes.
approaching this. So it's a
Mhm,
practice, and just being
mm,
compassionate towards yourself
mhm.
can help you do the best you can, and also believe in yourself to continue to iterate and do better, because that's how you're going to succeed, like with anything.
What's the best way to connect and work with you for people out there who are interested in working with you? What's the best way to do that?
Oh, that's yeah. You know what? That actually was my train of thought, because the other thing was reach out if you have
Ah, okay.
questions. Um, yeah. So getinlign.com,
Mhm,
GETINLIGN, getinline.com. If you scroll all the way to the
mhm,
bottom, there is this thing called the alignment newsletter, and it is written by yours truly, not a marketing person or anyone else
wow,
in terms of that kind of content. And so we put that out every single week, and it walks you through a journey of a lot of these concepts, and so they unfold, and you can actually take time with each one each week to practice it in baby steps. And that's why we send it out once a week and not email blast you every other day, because it would be too much.
mhm,
And so you can go
yeah,
there and you can start practicing that. And then you can also contact me, because I work with individuals and organizations both to thrive in their personal and professional lives on an individual level, and also maximize business performance first and foremost on an organizational level through creating alignment, and better connecting people. So
Yes, that's awesome. I'm going to place all of this information in the show note of this episode. So I encourage everyone out there who is listening to just click on the link, get across to Rachel. We visit the website, it's filled with a lot of content. You can even inform yourself about more information even before getting across. But I will encourage you to sign up for the newsletter also. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate this wonderful conversation. I've learned so much. I'm better off, than 1 hour ago that we started this conversation. I'm so happy to speak with you. Thank you.
oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I deeply feel it, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Toby. Thank you so much.
Wow, you made it to the very end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for your time, your love, and your contributions. Subscribe, like, review, and share this podcast. God bless you. Bye. Bye.